Welcome back, everybody, to the X Factor podcast. Today we got a good episode. We're talking about NFL Week 2 recap, thoughts, opinions on each of the NFL games over the NFL Sunday, and over the weekend. We're gonna be talking about the first match. We're gonna talk about our Thursday night matchup, the Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I feel like this game the game was very slow at first. It was like a turnover fest. Jalen Hurts didn't start well. Kirk Cousins didn't start well. And then slowly they started coming after that. Vikings at halftime, it was before halftime, Justin Jefferson fumbled. The ball went in the end zone and people had a little fit about that, saying it was the worst rule in NFL rules, which to me it doesn't even seem like it's a bad rule. If you fumble and the ball goes in the end zone, yeah, that should be a touchback for the other team. Like, you shouldn't have fumbled then. If you fumble and the ball's in the end zone, what do you want to call it? A touchdown? No. So, like, before, the score could have been, it could have been 14-10 going right after half. After that, Kirk Cousins' first drive, I think third play of the first drive in the second half, he fumbled. And then Eagles got scored. The third quarter was just a bad quarter for the Vikings, and then the fourth quarter happened, and they tried to come back. They just could not stop DeAndre Swift in that offense. First thoughts with the Eagles offense, I thought they did very I feel like they did very well running the ball. 28 for 175, one touchdown for DeAndre Swift. Jalen Hurts did all right, 12 for 35, two touchdowns. The best QB sneak play in the NFL right now. Devontae Smith went off with 4 catches, 131, and a touchdown. He had a very good game. One deep touchdown pass. AJ Brown didn't really do much. He was 4 for 29. I know there was an incident between him and Jalen Hurts in the middle of the game, and then the next player, 2 plays after, he scored a touchdown that got held back from a penalty. Josh Sweat and Jordan Davis both got sacks in that game. No interceptions by anyone. Defense, I feel like they had a very good showing in the first, 30 quarters. First 3.5 quarters, and then after that, after the Jordan Addison touchdown, it was just, they kind of just let it up after that. As a team, though, or as the Vikings offense, I thought they did very good at the end. Kirk Cousins, that defense is just awful. I feel like I said it before the year. I said the defense is not that good, and they're just proving my point once again. Kirk Cousins having to put the team on his back, 31 for 44, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns. They have no running game. Alexander Madison, 8 for 28. They don't have a running game at all. They got rid of Dalvin Cook, and now they got nothing. Now Kirk Cousins has to put the whole team on his back every single week because they don't have a running back to really do anything with. If I was them, I'd be getting on the phone with Kareem Hunt, maybe. I know there's a couple, try to trade for one maybe around that, park. Otherwise, they're not going to have a very good season defensively or offensively. They're just not have a bad team. They're not going to have a good season overall if they keep doing this, having to do all this, and having Kirk Cousins having to do all this every week. The bright side of that, though, for Justin Jefferson, he's getting good stats. 11 catches, 159 yards. He had no touchdown. Jordan Addison, his second career touchdown, came off another big play, just like last week. He had a big play, a big touchdown pass. He was 3 for 72, 1 touchdown. T.J. Hawkinson 7 for 66, 2 touchdowns. K.J. Osborne got a touchdown. I said receiving wise, I feel like a lot of guys did pretty well. Theo Jackson got a safety, got a interception off Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts doing the double coverage, not a very good smart play by him. And then Daniil Hunter had 3 sacks. He had a pretty good game. Overall, I feel like the Vikings, Eagles just dominated in a lot of aspects. They dominated in the yards, the full rushing yards, total yards, yards per play. Vikings actually had more yards per play. First downs, they had 5 more. Third downs, they were about the same, but Vikings only were 6 for 10. They were 6 for 14. Eagles had 20 more plays than the Vikings. Eagles had more penalties. Vikings also fumbled 4 times, so that's also a big reason why they lost. Vikings had 20 minutes less of offense than they did, and they still only lost by 7, or only lost by 6. So that should tell you something right there. But we're gonna get right into it. The next game of the week, 2, Cincinnati Bengals versus the Baltimore Ravens. Did not see much of this game. I did see parts of it. I feel like the Bengals had a very slow start in the first half. They slowly came back at it in the second. Joe Burrow had he had a better game than last week. I will tell you that. It was 27 for 14, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Joe Mixon slowly falling off with 13 carries, 59 yards. Like, this is the second game with around 50 yards rushing. T. Higgins had a pretty good game, 8 catches for 89, 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase didn't really see much, 5 for 31. Joe Mixon had a couple catches. Tyler Boyd had a pretty good game. Bengals defense didn't get no sacks, no interceptions. Looking over the Ravens offense, Lamar, 9 incompletions, 237, 2 touchdowns, 54 yards rushing. Gus Edwards, 62 yards rushing after losing J.K. Dobbins last week. Nelson Aguilar had a pretty good game. 5 for 63, 1 touchdown. I feel like he had a very, very good game. Zay Flowers showing he could be one of the better ones in this offense. 4 for 62. Odell kind of been a disappointment 2 weeks in. Hasn't really done much. I think he's already hurt. Luckily, thank God Dallas didn't get him because he hasn't really done much for the Ravens. Defensive wise, Geno Stone got an interception. Janavion Clowney had a sack. Just another big divisional matchup. Total yards, the Ravens had almost, they had 415 to their 282. Passing yards, Lamar had 20 more than Burrow. Rushing yards, it was 178 to their 66. Yards per play, Bengals had 4 for 9. They were 5 for 9. Total plays, or first downs, Ravens got them in that. Third downs, they were better on third down. They had more plays, less punts, more penalties, and more time. So they had a very efficient game. My main thing is there should be a worry in the Bengals offense. Is there something to worry about in that Bengals offense? There's something to worry about in Joe Burrow. I don't think there's much to worry about Joe Burrow because he dealt with a calf injury. And that's just another problem to, if he needs to move around, it's kind of hard because he has a calf injury. He aggravated it again this past week. And as a Cowboys fan, I know something about, a quarterback getting calf injuries. Dak had it in 2021. He missed the game. He came back and then did awful against the Broncos. So the first game, it didn't really help. They were in the rain, plus coming off the injury. This week he just re-aggravated again, not helping his situation anymore. The Bengals, overall, I'm not really worried about their offense, or I'm not worried about Joe Burrow or Jamar Chase. I'm more worried about their defense. But the Ravens, on the other side, the only thing I'm worried about with the Ravens is Odell. They gave him this big contract, and I feel like he hasn't shown much yet. Maybe we'll probably see something from him in the upcoming weeks. I'm not 100% sure, but Seattle versus the Lions. Seattle sneaked their way into a win here. We're going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks here, who won the game. Geno Smith, 32 for 41, 328, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, 17 for 43, 2 touchdowns. He had a very good game with touchdown-wise. Not yard-wise, but he did pretty well on the touchdowns. DK, 75 yards. Tyler Lockett, 59 yards, 2 touchdowns. Noah Fant, 56 yards. Jackson Smith Najigba only got 34 yards. Defensive-wise, Trey Brown got a pick and a sack. Demonte Brown got a sack. They had a very, very good offensive game. Lions, Jared Goff, 28 for 35, 323, 3 touchdowns and interception. David Montgomery, 67 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 17 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown got 102 yards. Josh Reynolds had a very good game with 66, 2 touchdowns. Defensive-wise, Alexander Loney got a sack. And an overtime hit. I feel there was the touchdown with Tyler Lockett. There was a holding call, and this isn't the only game of this past weekend that there was a flag that should have been called that did not get called. There's like 3 games that I'm particularly thinking of, excluding this one, that there was a holding call at the last play of the game that should have been called. And I will talk about those during the broadcast here, but I feel like the Lions got screwed in this. So next week, let's see if the Lions can bounce back. I'm not too worried about either one of these offenses. I'm not too worried about the defenses. Seattle obviously bounced back after their big loss last week to the Rams. Lions, they just took a huge loss there. Not really much to really deal with that. Colts, Texans, not really much to talk about here. Anthony Richardson did get a concussion. He was out for the rest of the game. Gardner Minshew came in, had a pretty good game, 19 for 23, 171 and a touchdown. Michael Pittman, 56 yards. Pretty good game from him. E.J. Speed, DeForest Buckner, Kwity Paye, Samson Ibaka got and Jacob Martin all got sacks. They were just a sacking machine over there in the Colts side of things. C.J. Stroud, 30 for 47, 384, 2 touchdowns. A very, very good stat game for C.J. Stroud. Dameon Pierce, 2 yards a carry with 15 carries, 31 yards. Not a very good game from him. Nico Collins had a very, very well game with 146 yards, 7 catches, and a touchdown. Tank Dell had a very good game. Robert Woods had a good game. defensively, they did not really do much on there. C.J. Stroud looking like the future for the Houston Texans, despite their losses, their 2 losses. He is showing flashes of becoming their next big star, unlike Bryce Young, but yeah, I feel like they just had a very very good game. Colts definitely had a very good game. Bears, Buccaneers. Man, I'm gonna talk about the Bucks first because Baker is proving everybody wrong. He's even proven me wrong. I feel like coming into this season, I feel like the Bucks had no chance in even competing well, and the 2 weeks that they have, played football, they're proving everyone wrong. Baker Mayfield is doing a fantastic job, a touchdown over 300 yards. Mike Evans, there's been deal with a contract issue. They need to get him back on a contract now. After what he did on Sunday, defensively they did very good with pretty much anything against the Bears. Looking over at the Bears, offense struggled a little bit, I feel. Chase Claypool caught a touchdown. Justin Fields did not do very good. 16 for 29, 211, touchdown, 2 interceptions. And there was a lot of hype with the Chicago Bears, from my end at least, coming into the season, because I thought the Bears would be one of the teams to actually compete for a playoff spot. 2 weeks in, they already look like they're about to compete for the first pick of the draft. I have not seen nothing special from this Bears team. And watching Justin Fields this past week, there was some plays where the pocket was open, or the pocket was clean, everything ready to go. Justin Fields could have just sat there and thrown the ball to an open person, and he just stand there like nothing was going on. There was plays where wide receivers were wide open, he didn't throw to. He was missing open receivers. He was missing lanes to go through when he needed to run. And it was a very ugly game by him. And watching what he did looked like a lot what Malik Willis did when he was in college. When I was watching a lot of his college stuff. When there was an open guy downfield, he'd rather run it. When the pocket was there, when the pocket was all good and the blocking was good, and there was a receiver, he'd rather run it. You cannot be the Superman of every play. And I get Justin Fields is a very talented quarterback. He's trying to do everything in his power to, be that guy. But if you see an open shot downfield, you gotta take those shots. You have to take those shots, especially if they're wide open. And the weird thing is, he missed a wide open shot downfield for a touchdown, but he was able to get a tight, close window in for a Chase Claypool touchdown. So to me, it doesn't make any sense at all. There was one play where he was just sitting right there. The blocking was very good. He could have sat there for days. And the minute he just ran right into the offensive line, ran right into the defensive players. I was like, "What are you doing, dude? Come on now. The Bears are obviously trying to build this team around him. They've gave him players. Now it's now it's him to do his thing." And the offensive line, is not the best, but it's not the worst at the same time. Defensive wise, I feel like they, Bears, they were down by 3. I feel like they had a good shot to win. Justin Fields throws a pick 6 at their own 4-yard line. So throws it straight to Shaquille Barrett, and boom, he scores a touchdown. It's like he doesn't even know what the hell he's doing. I had so much hype for this team because of the off-season transactions that they made, and they couldn't barely do nothing on offense. This is another offense that I talked about when I talked about last week. I thought the Vikings should be a team that should score over 30 points. This team should be a team at least that should score 20 points, 20 to 25 points. And, well, they're barely even to get 20 in there. They're only getting, 17. I think they had 20 last week. If I was a Bears fan, I would be a little worried. But if I was the Bears organization, I would say get an offensive line and pretty much just tell Justin Fields if there's an open man downfield, take those spots. And I get that Bears organization is not a very good organization, but they need to. Ryan Poles needs to start making some calls. Because, you're in a state of where this needs to work out now or you're not getting a contract type of situation. And the thing is, Justin Fields is very talented. He is very talented. He just hasn't fully executed it yet. He's had flashes. He hasn't fully executed them yet. I feel like there's more to Justin Fields than what people actually see. Looking over at the Chiefs-Jaguars game, I feel like it was a very low-scoring game by this Chiefs offense. Something you don't really see much coming out of the Chiefs. Only scoring 17 points. They scored 20 last week. Sky Moore got a touchdown. I feel like the Chiefs, they're trying to compete a little bit. They got both Kelsey and they got Chris Jones back. Chris Jones had a very good game coming back. That defense looked a lot better versus this Jaguars team. Trevor Lawrence struggled a little bit. He struggled just a little bit, and they only not locked up 9 points on this team. If I was the Chiefs, I'd be giving, and they already gave him Chris Jones a 1-year contract, but I'd be looking for a big deal. But Packers-Falcons, Packers lost by 1 in a very close scoring game. Jordan Love, I felt like he had a very alright game, scoring 3 touchdowns, 150 yards, 14 for 25. They lost Jones to hamstring injury, so they had to have A.J. Dillon in. He got 3 yards of carry for 55 yards rushing. Very alright from the offense. You can see there's certain people on that offense that they're slowly bringing in. It's going to be a very... this offense is like, there's like, just like these people coming in and they're like taking their spots. Devontae Wicks and Jaden Reed are 2 guys that suddenly just came out of the blue and they're scoring touchdowns for that offense, and they're doing some pretty good stuff. Falcons look a lot better than last year's team. They came in and they scored 25 points, which I feel like was impossible for last year. B. John Robbins had a big game, 124 yards. Drake London had a pretty good game. Kyle Pitts pretty much did nothing like usual. Last week he didn't do nothing. Even though if he was open, there was still nothing. If I was Kyle Pitts, I'd be asking for a trade. I'd be saying, hey, can I get traded? You're not using me. I'm not getting targets. I'm not getting anything. Can I please get traded? And if I was a GM of the Falcons, I'd say, I'd give it a week or so, 2 weeks. If you don't feel that you're getting the targets that you get, if you feel like you're being the best player you could be, then yeah, we'll trade you. One of the teams that pop off to mind that have had tight end issues, Dallas is one of them. After what happened in week 1, week 2, they had a better game offensively, but they also have good talent that they can trade off to them for that. If I was the Panthers, I would. Some of these teams need some big weapons. Give them even to Houston. Even though they have Dalton Schultz ain't doing much over there. Say, hey, can we have Kyle Pitts? Boom, we'll give you Kyle Pitts type of moves. In here, you can have Dalton Schultz. But if I was Kyle Pitts, I'd be asking for a trade soon because they're not really doing much with him. I feel like offensively they had a very good game. Defensively, I thought they had a very alright game. Um, Bills Raiders. I did not see much of this game. Bills dominated them, 38-10. Um, Josh Allen had a very good game, better game than last week. Garoppolo played like garbage. His good stuff just slowly went away. They did nothing on the ground. Josh Jacobs, 9 carries for -2 yards. Did absolutely nothing in this game. And how I know that, I have Josh Jacobs on my fantasy football team. So, like I said, they did absolutely nothing on offense. They couldn't get nothing going. Oh. But Bills absolutely, after what happened last week, they came in and just dominated. Titans Chargers, another overtime game that we got over this weekend. And Titans come up, in my eyes, this was an upset. Titans came in, they upset the Chargers at home. And a very shocking affair, because I feel like this Chargers team is a potential to be a Super Bowl caliber team and a playoff team, and yet they're 0-2. Brandon Staley, I'm not saying he lashed out at a reporter, but he was very frustrated after the loss. And someone asked him if he was, if this has to relate to their playoff loss to the Jaguars. He pretty much said no. You can go in that locker room and it's not affecting the loss to the Jaguars. The interviewer that asked him that also was the same one who, asked he asked the questions that you're probably gonna snap at him, especially after a big loss. It happened with their last head coach, Chargers' last head coach. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. But he did the same thing to him, to that interviewer. Brandon Staley, he kept his cool for a little bit of it, but you could tell he was very frustrated. And Brandon Staley, he's a average coach on a good team. Kellen Moore is an average coach on a good team. We've seen what Kellen Moore did to that Cowboys offense. We see what he did to Dak. Held him back. And now I feel like Kellen Moore is holding Justin Herbert back from his full potential. And if anyone wants to disagree with me, watch the Cowboy games over the last couple of years. I am 100% right. You cannot argue me on that one. That when you look at that Chargers offense, you'll think of the 2019 to 2022 Cowboy teams. They're trying to make it a very high scoring game, trying to run up the score, not doing things that are smart, not trying to be conservative on certain situations, just trying to score touchdown. Like even when you go for a field goal, nope, we're going for touchdown. And guess what? Sometimes when you're being too aggressive, you end up like last year's version of Dak Prescott. Which I'll talk about the Cowboys game here in a little bit, because there's some good things I got to say about that. And I feel like Brandon Staley, Kellen Moore are holding that team back. There's multiple players on that team that are, could help you win a Super Bowl. But they haven't, done nothing really much with it. Especially after you lose to a team like the Titans. I feel like the Titans are not even that well-rounded of a team anyway. But the 49ers versus the Rams, a very shocking score to the game. 49ers struggled to first half of the game. After halftime, they just went off and just started scoring all over. They scored 30 points after. Well, it was 17-17 at halftime. They scored 2 touchdowns after that, or a field goal and a touchdown, whatever, after that. And that Rams offense is really shocking people. Another guy I got to talk about on this Rams offense, Um, let's see here. Matthew Stafford, very good game. He threw 55 times, crazy stat line. Two players I got to talk about: Kyren Williams and Puka Nuka. That's what I'm gonna call him, Puka Nuka. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Puka Nuka. Them two are are doing some great stuff for this team because Puka Nuka, 15 catches, 147. Amazing game by him. Kyren Williams, a very good game by him. Touchdown, 52 yards, rushing. Puka Nuka, though, he is going to be a very, very talented receiver. And I feel like he's going to be one of the guys. He's going to be like the Cooper Kupp right now before Cooper Kupp comes back. He has been very good in these first 2 weeks of play. And you can tell when Stafford likes you, you're getting that ball. When you have a good relationship with Stafford, you're getting that ball. And Puka Nuka has thrown the nuke on the Puka. And the Puka Nuka got the Puka Nuka touchdowns. That was a very bad joke. I feel like the Rams offense has been showing out lately. They scored 30 last week. They scored 23 this week. And this is a team that I thought that they weren't even that good of a team going into the season. I feel like there's a lot of holes, but when you're Sean McVay, you make anything look great. Anything that looks good to great type of situations. But 49ers, I feel like they had a very, offensively, a very good game. Defensively, biggest comeback of the week, Giants, Cardinals. The score at halftime, I think it was like 17-3, was 17-3, I believe, or 17-0. They somehow were able to go up to 28-0 at one point, or 28-7, and they won. The Giants came back and won. Awful performance at the second half by the Cardinals team. How do you drop 31 points in the second half to that Giants team? Daniel Jones, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Saquon Barkley sprained his ankle. He'll be out a couple weeks. Jalen Hyatt got 2 catches, 89 yards. But the Cardinals absolutely choked this one. I really don't know what much to say about it. They're going to choke. They choked it. And the worst thing is the Cardinals are at home next week against the Cowboys. And based off what the Cowboys did against the Jets, yeah, you're probably not going to have a very good game. Speaking of Cowboys-Jets, that game was an absolute... second half was an absolute massacre for the Jets. First half, they had hope. It was 14-10 going into halftime. So it's like, okay, maybe, we could get, the Jets could come back and, play a good game at the end. And then after halftime, they did absolutely nothing. Micah Parsons, best defensive player in the league. You can't tell me otherwise. That defense forced 3 turnovers. They got nothing on the ball, rushing the ball. Zach Wilson, 12 for 27, 172, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, very bad. Zach Wilson, leading rusher. Brace Hall, 4 for 9. Michael Carter, 2 for 8. Dalvin Cook, 4 for 7. Very bad. Very bad. Garrett Wilson had 2 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Defensively, they didn't really do much. Solomon Thomas got a sack. But this Cowboys offense really just showed something. Dak Prescott, 31 for 38, 255, 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard, 25, carry 72 yards. Deuce Vaughn got a couple rushes. Rico McDowell got a couple rushes. CeeDee Lamb, amazing, 11 catches, 143. Tony Pollard, 7 for 37. Jalen Tolbert, 3 for 18. Um, Luke Shoemaker got a touchdown. Jalen Ferguson got a touchdown. Defensively, they were just all over. Jerron Curse, Malik Hooker, Trayvon Diggs all got interceptions. Micah Parsons, I think, had four QB hits, 2 sacks. I feel like a couple of those turnovers probably wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Micah Parsons. This Cowboys defense is probably the best I have seen in years. The Cowboys have the best defense in the league. Nobody can tell me otherwise. They've only let up a defense score the amount of 10 points. And I'm sorry, you can say whatever you want about the Giants and the Jets. But, Giants, playoff team last year. Everyone talked about how good the team was. How they were going to, execute in the playoffs. When the Eagles beat them in the playoffs, the Eagles fans kept saying, oh, Giants are good. They're good. Cowboys beat them like that. Oh, Giants suck again. It was just Daniel Jones. Make it make sense, everybody. And it's very hard to blow a shutout when you're the away team, too. Like, they should have at least scored a touchdown, a field goal, something like that. No, they didn't score nothing. It is very hard to do that in the NFL. I don't even know when the last time a shutout in the NFL even happened, besides last Sunday. Jets, yes, it's just Zach Wilson. But guess what? They also got Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Garrett Wilson, Dalvin Cook. They have stars everywhere. Offensive line is alright. Defensively, guess what? They got 3 turnovers on Josh Allen last week. Guess what? They let that Bills team only score 16 points last week. And guess what? Guess what? This even makes it better. Dak Prescott comes in there. Doesn't serve a turnover to that defense. Whoa. Make that a shocking moment right there. But yet, Dak Prescott's an interception turnover machine. No, Kellen Moore caused that. He wanted Dak to be aggressive with everything. And guess what? The minute Dak quit being aggressive, the minute they told Dak, hey, you don't need to be aggressive anymore, this is the type of stuff you get from that offense. You get 30-point bombs on you. You get 40-point bombs on you. Yes, our defense helped last week a lot, but you could have seen that this week, our offense did the show. And you could see what happens when your offense and your defense both does their part. You score touchdowns and you win games. And guess what? Dak Prescott, no turnovers, yet he's a turnover machine. Make it make sense, people. I think the only thing that the Cowboys I thought that they did wrong was their red zone stuff. Or their goal line stuff. Their goal line stuff I thought was not that good. They were struggling that, which I feel like they can fix next week. Because they're facing Arizona, so it's just like, we're just got to, that's not really much of a game you got to worry about. It's just what do you got to fix type stuff. So, if you sit there and you say it's just Zach Wilson and just Daniel Jones, think about what people were saying about the Giants last year and before that Cowboy game. And then you can make an opinion about it. Because everyone said Giants were going to upset Dallas. Guess what? Dallas came in there, they proved you wrong. We kicked your ass, we left. Jets come in here. Everyone thought. Bart Scott thought the Jets were going to rush 200 yards on him. Guess what happened? No. I don't even think they got 100. I don't even think they got fucking 30 on him. Oh, but it's just Zach Wilson. No. Zach Wilson beat Josh Allen last week. That defense forced 3 turnovers on Josh Allen last week. Dak Prescott didn't get any turnovers. Where's the media for that? Guess what? They're not going to say nothing because they don't want to get proved wrong. A bunch of clowns is what they are. I'm sorry, a lot of people, want to come at the Cowboys for a lot of their stuff, but the minute that Dallas proves them wrong, they like to change the narrative. If you want to change the narrative, fuck you. Goodbye. type moments. Like, fuck you then. You wanna change the narrative about this whole situation there? Fuck you. Dallas is, even though we're only 2 weeks in, this team's a legit team. We didn't see this last year. We didn't see this the year before. We didn't see this the year out before that. This team is the strongest it's been in the 8 years Dak Prescott's been here. And I'm going to say right now, if Dak doesn't get, and I said this even before the season started, if Dak doesn't get to an NFC Championship or a Super Bowl, it's a failure. It's a failure season. It's a boom or bust. And I know they say that every year, Jerry Jones says it every year, but this is a real boom or bust year. And if we get to week 5, where we play San Francisco, we beat San Francisco, if we do, then you could sit there and say, oh, this is a contending team. And in week 5, I'm going to tell you right now, that Dallas defense is going to expose Brock Purdy just like how they did in the playoffs. I'll tell you that right now. Like I said, any thoughts about it? Comment down below. Commanders, Broncos. Commanders cheated their way into a win. Broncos got a Hail Mary at the end. Also, Denver choked. Denver absolutely choked. It was 21-3 at one point. And they choked it. And then I believe it got to 35-28-1 at one point. Or 35-24 at one point. And, well, Denver slowly came back. Russell Wilson got a Hail Mary. They tried to go for the 2-point conversion, and, well, it was incomplete. A flag should have been thrown. There was pass interference. But they missed it. So that's the second game that I feel like there's some screwing there. Commanders go up to 2-0. I'm not sold on them much. They beat the Cardinals last week. Okay, cool. The Cardinals aren't that good of a team. They beat Denver, who choked. Looking at some of our primetime games, Dolphins, Patriots. Dolphins, very slow game for them. Didn't do much. They did score 24 points. Patriots, they scored 17. Raheem Mostert, very good game by him. Over 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Tua, very, very off game by him. I feel like the Dolphins are always... I feel like Dolphin-Patriot games are always like 24-10, 24... 21, 24, 17 type games. I feel like they're always just like that. You don't get like a good even score with this. It's just always odd scoring by them. It's always just the same type of scoring. Always scores. Same scores for every time. Saints, Panthers. Saints go up to 2-0. Saints didn't do much. Derek Carr, 230 yards. Taysom Hill, 9 carries, 75 yards. Chris Olave had a pretty good game. Raheem Shaheed had a pretty good game. They didn't really do much. It was more their defense that did the part. Panthers, Bryce Young, 22 for 33, 153 and a touchdown. Not a very efficient game by him. He did score a touchdown to Adam Thielen. And I know we're only 2 weeks in, but Bryce Young did not have a very good game this week. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's a bust already, but there should probably be a little bit of thinking, And it's only week 2, but there should probably think, is he a bust? Because he's not looking like the number 1 pick. Anthony Richardson looks like he's the number 1 pick in this draft. Start thinking about that a little bit. And then we get down to our final game of the week. Steelers, Browns. Steelers offense only scored, I think, like 12 points. I think. Their defense, or they only scored their defense had like 2 touchdowns, I think. Defense did more than their offense, obviously. Kenny Pickett, 15 for 30, 222, a touchdown, interception. George Pickens, amazing player, 4 catches, 127, touchdown. Alex Highsmith got a sack and interception. And yeah, the Steelers offense they did get the 2 touchdowns. My bad. So the Browns pretty much they ruined themselves a win because that offense wasn't doing anything. If they didn't get those 2 defensive touchdowns, Browns win the game. They win the game and they go up to 2-0. Nick Chubb, very, very gruesome injury. If you've seen it, then you know how bad it is. I hope this is a potentially career-ending injury for him. Same knee that he tore his MCL, ACL, meniscus. That's the same knee that he tore all that back in college in 2015 or whatever. Or 2016, wherever. This is the same injury. Or same knee that he hurt his knee on in college. So this could potentially be career-ending. He probably won't be the same after this. If he's the same after this, it's like a huge comeback story. But otherwise, prayers up to him and prayers to, just prayers to him. Jerome Ford, a very good game from him. 116 carries, 106. He also had a receiving touchdown. Deshaun Watson didn't look very well as well. Probably the word overpaid is probably the word to put it. Overpaid quarterback. He hasn't shown full potential. I'll give it till week 5 if he still doesn't, his full potential. Then I'm saying screw it. You're overpaid. No need to bring you in there. End of the game though, another pass interference call that got missed. It was Joey Porter Jr. I believe. On Donovan Peoples-Jones. He was obviously holding the jersey. He held both sides of the jersey. Pass interference should have been called. Didn't get called. Steelers win. My week 3 NFL predictions will come out Thursday. Sometime Thursday. You already see my Monday Night Raw review. If you want to see the awards, the X Factor awards of the week for football, for the NFL, go to my Twitter, XFactorSportss, 2 S's at the end. The X, F, and the S are all silent, and the X Factor and the sports are all capitalized for the first letters. Any opinions, hot takes, anything like that you want to talk about? Or want me to review? Let me know down below, or like I said, Twitter's right there. Let me know and I will talk about it. So y'all have a great day.